Hi, welcome to another edition of Ask Spurrell CPA, and today we're talking about why business plans are important. And to help me here today, I have Erin here. Erin, thanks for being here.
Hi there.
Erin, why don't you tell me a little bit about your journey to the firm here?
Oh yeah, sure. Well, I'm a payroll accountant by trade. I went to the Academy of Learning. I got my diploma in computerized payroll accounting with honors. I was actually recommended to this firm by the head of that school, so I'm really glad that they did because I've had a really good time here so far. I'm thinking of probably working towards either a payroll designation, maybe CPA in the future. I'm really just kind of starting out so far, and it's just kind of exciting.
Right on.
I've been here for about almost just under 2 years so far, so still pretty early on.
It's been great having you. So, the statistic about why business plans are important is the business owners who do a plan are actually 50% more likely to grow their revenue.
Is that so?
That's the statistic. So, the starter we get are business owners. They come in and they just don't understand why their business is not growing. And almost always they don't have a plan, or they don't have a good one for sure.
Right.
So these business owners who are considering doing a plan or struggling growing their business, what are the questions you think these business owners should be asking, Erin?
Well, probably they would be thinking about, why is my business failing? And the number one reason that a lot of business owners give for why their business might be failing is, well, there's no demand out there. There's no demand for my products or services. So if that's the conclusion they come to, if the lack of demand for products and services is what they think is the reason for their business failing, how do the stats suggest that a business plan might help in that regard?
Yeah, they've actually surveyed entrepreneurs and determined, separated the ones from, I've, never done a business plan, or I started a business plan and I didn't finish. Believe it or not, they're probably in the same camp. And then the business owners who actually worked a business plan through to completion. And the ones who worked a business plan through to completion are actually, 50% more likely to grow their revenue, which is the number one reason why businesses fail is, they experience a lack of demand for their products or services. So actually completing that business plan is the number one thing that they can do, especially when you talk about time efficiency of things that they can do. It should be the number one thing that these business owners should do to avoid the number one reason for failure.
In that case, I'd ask what components of the business plan do that specifically. How can business owners increase their revenue, and what components of the business plan do that?
Yeah, there's a number of components of the business plan that will help them increase revenue. Probably the first thing is they understand the pricing. That could be one. How much they actually do have to charge, and make sure that pricing is locked down and consistent and sustainable. The next thing is really going through and establishing what your differentiation factors are. And where I find a lot of business owners struggle is they want to assume that they do all of the differentiation factors. They're in the right location, and they have the best team, and they have the best branding.
Because why wouldn't we be? Why else would you go somewhere else? We're clearly the best. We do everything.
Exactly. But they just don't flush out what are the ones that they do better than everyone else. And if they can flush out those 2 or 3 that they do better than everyone else, they can get those differentiation factors.
Yeah, because people don't search that way for a business. They don't search, who's a thing who can do everything for me. They search who can do this thing for me.
That's right. Who's the quickest? Who has the longest history of success? That's exactly true. So you want to flush out what those items are, and make sure that they're ready to get in front of the buyers. Probably the next thing that makes the most important component of the plan that helps them grow revenue is a sales and marketing plan. The marketing initiatives. A lot of times, business owners will come up with marketing initiatives, but they don't quantify them well. They will say that, I'm going to drop flyers, or I'm going to run Google AdWords, but they don't understand how many flyers they're going to drop, or what their AdWords spend is going to be, and then tying
how many carrier pigeons will I send out?
Exactly. Tying that quantitative, how many, to how much that's going to translate into increased revenue.
Probably the next biggest reason why a business owner might say that their business is failing would be just lack of cash flow. Oops, sorry, I can't pay for anything. How would you suggest that a business plan helps an entrepreneur out of that situation, from the running out of cash situation?
Yeah, running out of cash, number 2 reason why businesses fail. And business plan, it's like a budget for your business.
Yeah.
You would think if you were struggling in your personal life with your budgeting, that you would actually go through and do a budget and calculate how much things are expected to cost and try to stick to that. In a business, it's much more complex. You have a lot more expenses generally than you have personally. So, your business plan is the budget for their business. And without that, they really have no baseline to know, is the spending appropriate or is the spending unsustainable?
Yeah, it's kind of right there in the name. It's a plan.
Yeah.
You plan out your spending. So for the business plan, would you say we should charge extra for doing a business plan with our firm?
Yeah, so
it seems like a lot of work, right?
It is a bunch of work, and we did make the philosophical shift a couple of years ago to say that no, we're no longer going to charge extra for business plans, because business owners, when they're struggling, the last thing they want to do is say, I want to spend more. It's counterintuitive to them. But the problem is that without that plan, they're going to continue to experience those pain points. Even if they don't go out of business, they're going to keep having the same issues crop up. So, we made the shift to say that that's a necessary investment in our clients, and we say that the success doesn't cost extra. So because it's such an essential service, it's just built into our monthly fees. It's not
right?
something-
Yeah. Like, would you rather charge extra and get a little bit extra for doing that business plan, or the client might go out of business if they don't do a business plan? So
exactly.
Would you rather get no money or some money?
I can spend my time looking for new clients, or I can spend my time helping my existing clients succeed. Yeah.
So we kind of gone over the overview of what the business plan does and why you should do it. What would you say are the 3 main top reasons why you should do a business plan, just generally?
Yeah, so normally what you're going to see why entrepreneurs should be doing a business plan is, number one, they're making major changes in their business. They want to make some major changes in their business.
How do I adapt to this thing that happened?
That's right, a new revenue stream, a big technological advancement that they're trying to navigate. Number 2 is they're struggling. They're actually struggling to hit the objectives that they have.
Again, I'm running out of cash. This thing is not available anymore. This supplier went out of business. That kind of thing. Or I just don't know how to business.
Yeah. And the number 3 is probably they're looking for financing. Because our plans are super successful at actually getting financing and getting the best rate on that financing. So it's those 3 things. I mean, if you're a status quo business and all you're trying to do is eke out another 3%, you're probably not going to get as much benefit out of that business plan. It's they're making major changes. They're struggling to hit their objectives. Or they're seeking financing. And I say making major changes, that means they want more than just cost of inflation growth, right? Or a marginal increase in growth. They're looking for better growth. So those are the 3 things.
All right, so in that case, what do you think about a business plan helps an entrepreneur focus on their objectives as part of that planning process? Yeah,
so as a business owner, they're going to learn that they're going to get pulled in multiple directions. And you're normally going to get pulled in directions that aren't really created by yourself. They're, lots of times they're created by your suppliers or your customers or your employees, and they'll pull you off course. And sometimes you actually can almost forget what the vision is and what are the things that are actually important.
You get lost in the weeds.
Yeah, what's going to actually drive the needle. So it's that reference point to, when my mind was clear, when I was well thought out, these were the things that I believe we're going to move my business forward. So it's that reminder of, this is what's important.
Is this thing that I'm focusing so much on right now working towards that, or is this just fluff? Is this out on the side somewhere? Yeah,
the Pareto's 80-20 principle, right? Yep. Is this item responsible for 80% of my success or not, right?
Right.
So it's that sort of written documentation that gives that guide.
Alrighty then. How many meetings would you say it takes to create a business plan, just with our firm as an example?
Yeah, so normally a business plan, we do a financial plan and a business plan in 4 meetings. The business plan normally being 2 meetings.
Right? Like maybe the tail end of the second meeting and then the 2 meetings after.
100%, yeah. Usually in that tail end of the second financial planning meeting, we tell them, we explain to them our template and how we like the information organized. And then the next meeting is just all about us understanding their vision. You know, we can't just give you a business plan that's disconnected from your vision. We need a meeting to completely, after you've thought it out and put it down on paper, to understand the vision. And then the next meeting is really just us tweaking that plan, you know, still in accordance with your vision, but just using the tips and tricks that we picked up from other clients and, you know, our training that is going to help you execute on that vision. So
Awesome. And how many hours do you think it should take to hash out that vision? Would you say like a month, a week, 2 years? So it seems like it could be a very involved process. What do you think?
Yeah, great question. And I think that's one that intimidates a lot of business owners, and that's why they don't do it.
Oh God, why?
They think it's 40 hours or 80 hours they're going to invest in this thing.
It has to be perfect.
That is not, you know, you can do this in basically the 2 meetings at our firm in 4 hours.
Yeah.
So after we explain that template at the tail end of the second financial planning meeting, we'll explain to you how we want the information organized, and it's really just a brainstorming dump into the document. It's really just dumping your vision into that document. And some people think that it has to be a literary masterpiece. It's never.
So it's not going to take a significant amount of time. That's what you're saying.
This never gets in front of a customer. I tell them no more than 4 hours.
Yeah.
You put a 4-hour block on in one evening or a Saturday or something. That's all. You put that information in there.
I would guess if it takes more time than that, it's probably like not the most important components you would have been thinking of. Like the most important stuff is the stuff that comes to mind first, probably.
Yep. If you've thought it out, those are you're very right on that.
Any more than that, you're probably overthinking it.
Yeah, for sure.
And how often do you think the plan should be updated, would you say? Does that take a similar amount of time, less amount of time?
Yeah, really, you could look at that 4-hour block in perpetuity every year. And some business owners think that they should spend an inordinate amount of time up front, and then they never do the exercise again. You'd be better off spending 4 hours a year than 40 hours in your first year. Because you're going to learn so many things every year of your business. Whether it's year 1 or year 10, you're going to learn so many things. So you want to adjust your strategy.
Or like what happens if something catastrophic happens and everything changes?
Yeah, you want to adjust your strategy and your vision according to that every year. We plan on 2 or 3 years for business owners. I see small businesses plan on 5 or 10 years sometimes, and I laugh because it's never going to happen.
In this world, good job.
If you're Coca-Cola, maybe you can plan for 5 years. But if you're Joe's Plumbing or Tim's Dentistry, too much is going to change in that time period. Yeah.
Whether it's like subtle changes in the markets or like, oh no, global warming has put the entire world underwater.
Yeah.
How will you adapt to this new ocean-based economy?
We haven't seen anything that drastic yet. No, not yet.
Mainly just like the former. A little bit of that.
Yeah. Someone changes the tax rate, or a little. They build a road in front of my business. Yeah,
yep.
That's
Yeah. And we kind of went over how much time it takes to update the plan. How about getting the plan reviewed? How does having a second set of eyes look at the plan help out in that respect, do you think?
Yeah, that's so key, is having that second set of eyes. I've been doing business plans for a decade, and I'm the first one to tell people that I always want someone else to look at it, because I want someone to poke holes in what I've said. And you might end up going with your first intuition anyways, but if you have someone poke holes in it, you have the business owner go through it, and then you have your accountant go through it, and knowing that your accountant is actually going through it with their team rather than just one person, because the point is we want to poke holes in that before money is on the line.
Indeed.
Before we made decisions that have cost us money, and sometimes made irreversible decisions, right? So
part of the business plan in and of itself is like determining the risks and also like determining the strengths of the competition. You have to evaluate like what could go wrong so that you don't run into that problem, or at least not into that problem as severely as you could later on down the line.
Exactly. Having more than one set of eyes, and especially eyes that have experience that on not just a half dozen businesses, experience on hundreds or thousands of businesses. That's what really adds value to these plans and helps you make the right decisions. Because decisions in business, they're not like the video game decisions. There's no reset button. There's no save point. You can't go back, right? They're kind of final sometimes. So That's all we got for today. So thanks so much for joining me, Aaron. And if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to write them below, and we'll try to address.
Hit that bell and subscribe to that like button.
Excellent. Yeah. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and we'll address them in a future video. Thanks very much.
See ya.